Hi, my name is Deb from DG Reads, and this is my furry sidekick Kylie, and we're here today to kick off a vlog for the final week of the Amazing Readathon. It is now Monday evening. I just got home from work, so ready to officially get this last vlog for Amazing Readathon underway. If you don't know what Amazing Readathon is, by the time this vlog is live, it will be over, but I will, of course, have it linked down below, and of course the host Bree from Four Paws in a Book as well, because this is a really fun and creative readathon, and I would highly recommend participating in the future. For this week, I don't have any particular theme or plan other than I would like to support my team, go fantasy as much as possible, to get as many points as possible. But I am running out of some of the higher point sightseeing books, so I'm just gonna do what I can, get any points I can possibly get, and go from there. I did get in some reading today while I was at work, so I do have some updates on what I've read since I closed off last week's vlog this morning. I picked up and read Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which is the second book in the Wayward Children series by Sean Maguire. I said when I read Every Hearted Doorway earlier this month that I wanted to continue, so I'm happy to say that I actually am continuing. I finished that book and really loved it. I loved getting the backstory of Jack and Jill, who we knew from the first book, and seeing the world that they had been in. Since that went so well, I also picked up Beneath the Sugar Sky, which is book 3 in the series, and I'm about halfway into that one. I'm not 100% gelling with this one quite so much. I'm enjoying exploring a new world. I mean, there's a world made of candy. What's not to like? I'm not necessarily as connected in with the characters. This one feels a little bit more like we're kind of thrown into the story, where Jack and Jill had a lot of build-up and backstory to the characters to realize how they came to be where they are. So there's a lot going on in this one, but it's again another really short read, so I do figure I will finish it either tonight or tomorrow. So I said I don't have a particular target for this week necessarily in terms of what I'm going to read, but I do have a little bit of a TBR, a couple things that I know I will be getting to. Obviously, I need to finish Beneath the Sugar Sky, but I also will be reading Evocation by S.T. Gibson. Bree actually has a buddy read for this happening at the end of the month on Sprints, and we know she is very smart, a mastermind, and the one who knows what all the prompts are. So if she's saying she's going to be reading this at the end of the month, there's a good chance it might fit the prompt for the end of the month. So either way, it's a book I really want to read. I have this really pretty Fairy Loot edition, so I'm excited to get to it. I really enjoy S.T. Gibson's writing in general, so it's just gorgeous, and I am looking forward to reading it. So this definitely will get read toward the end of the month. And then Becca from Becca in the Books has her Patreon 24-hour readathon at the end of the month, and I will be reading the 4th installment in the Pretty Little Liars series by Sarah Shepard, along with her and some other people. So that one, I think it's called Unbelievable. I'm trying to pull that out of memory. That one will be definitely an easy, quick read. It also will fulfill the prompt to hit a 4th book in a series. So I'm excited that that lined up perfectly. Beyond that, I have no idea. I'm gonna go ahead and figure out what comes next. I'll be able to let you know that next time I'm with you. It is now Tuesday, and I have a super quick update for you. No new news on prompts or anything like that, and I do need to get moving because I'm running late. I did finish Beneath the Sugar Sky last night, and I liked it, just not quite as much as the previous 2 books. So it was still 4 stars for me, but on the very low end of 4 stars. And from what I've heard, that's kind of common. This is a type of series where the books differ enough that people fall into different categories on which ones they like or not. So I can see why that is, but had a really good time with it. Still looking forward to picking up book 4 in this series, possibly this week if I can swing it, but we'll see. I'm not sure what prompt it would fit, so I need to look into that. And then the other thing I did last night was make it a third of the way into Icarus by Kay Ingram, and this one I am generally liking so far. It's a little early to be able to tell. Mostly it's been set up to this point, but this is a book that works for the one-word title, which is one of the remaining 400-point prompts possibly that I wanted to fill. And the main character, Icarus, is a thief. He works for his father. He goes in and trades out his father's forgeries for the art in people's homes, and he's really good at what he does until one day he's caught by the son of the man that they are stealing from. The son doesn't really want to turn him in. The son is looking for some social interaction. So that's as far pretty much as I've made it in the book so far. This is an author I really loved when it came to The Wicker King, and so far I'm not getting the same vibes from this one, but I'm hopeful that could turn around in the end. But regardless, I'm having a good time with it. It's now Tuesday night and still no word on a new prompt, but I'm just getting home from a nice dinner out for my best friend's birthday, so I'm ready to give you a little bit of an update before I settle in for the evening. I finished up a couple of things today, actually, while I was at work and on the commute, so I will update you with that. So I finished A Witch's Guide to Business by Alex Evans, and this is one I haven't really said anything about because I am going to be reviewing it in full in my first SPFBO vlog, which should be coming out in early July, so not too far after this one, I think. So I'm not going to go into details for that one, but it did work for a cover with a weapon on it, so that earned my team some sightseeing points. And then I did also finish Icarus today, and I really like this. It definitely is not kind of my normal read, but I had a good time with it. I really like the relationship that Icarus developed with Helios, who is the son of the man that they were intending to rob. I also really enjoyed the way that Icarus wound up having people surrounding him as a support network in the world. Given his father's profession being not exactly on the straight and narrow, he's always been told not to draw attention to himself. He hasn't had like a real bedroom. He hasn't had physical affection from his family. And all of this kind of contributes to Icarus being who he is and some of the challenges he has in life. And he winds up finding that there are people around him who are willing to go to bat for him, and that changes everything. So this was a really good read. I really enjoyed it. It was 4 stars for me, but I think it's one I definitely would recommend. And then lastly, I needed to pick up something on my way home from work that I had on audio in a split-second decision as I was getting in the car. So I picked up The Midnight Game by Cynthia Murphy, and this is a gifted advanced listener copy from PRH Audio. This is a YA thriller horror. I think more so leaning into horror, but I'm not too far into the book to really judge. But this caught my eye because we do have a prompt for a book involving a game, so this definitely works. It's a group of people, they are strangers to each other, they met online, and they're coming together at midnight one night to play the Midnight Game, which summons a demon apparently. And there is an article that was found talking about how someone's death was ruled a suicide, but it's obvious to our players that the things that this person was surrounded by were part of playing the game. So is this just urban legend, or is there actually substance to it? They really don't know. So they've gathered, they're in this abandoned building. I'm about, I want to say an hour and a half into the audiobook. It's only like an 8-hour audio. But they've just kind of performed the initial ritual, so I'm expecting things to kind of kick off from here. So I'm excited to continue that one as well. That's about all I have for you at the moment with what's going on. I don't know, we could potentially get another late night prompt drop from Brie, who knows, or maybe I'll wake up to one in the morning, but I will bring you an update when I have some new news. And in the meantime, I'm gonna get back to reading. We have a new bow tie and a new destination and a new prompt to tell you about. So Kylie's very clearly super excited. But I just got home from work, so she got very excited to see me, and now she's very excited for another nap. now that I'm home to watch her sleep. So I'm going to let her do that and I'll be right back with you. So we got the drop this morning and not too long after I got to work, and we are going to Auckland. And to do this, we need to read a book with water on the cover. And I'm happy to report I've already accomplished this. Looking at how many things I still have on my TBR and how many things I have on my July TBR to get to, I really wanted to find something that would help out my reading list. So even though it wasn't fantasy, I did pick up one of the arcs that I needed to get to, and that was One Big Happy Family by Jamie Day. This is a gifted audio arc from Macmillan Audio, and it comes out on July 16th. In this book, we are at an isolated setting of the Precipice Hotel. This has been a family-run hotel for years, but the patriarch of the family has recently passed away. So this particular weekend finds his 3 daughters coming to the hotel to basically take ownership over this hotel. We are initially reading from the perspective of a woman who works in the hotel, and all of the guests have canceled because there is a hurricane coming. The family, though, still decides to come for all the various reasons, whether it be to get the money, to get some sort of leg up on their siblings. We don't entirely know. We know that there's a lot of tension within the family. There are a lot of secrets as the book goes on, and there's just a lot going on in here. The person who works in the hotel, her name is Charlie. She's been kind of taking some money here and there from guests with the best of motives, because her grandmother who raised her basically is dealing with dementia, and the home where she lives is constantly asking for more money, and she's just barely trying to make ends meet. And she's also taken in a stray, basically. There's a woman that they're keeping hidden within the hotel because she has some problems of her own, and she's in danger and is hiding out. So there's a lot going on. Charlie's very nervous to have these new owners there. What will that mean for her career and her ability to keep providing for her grandmother? It's an interesting mix of characters, and the author does a really good job, I think, of bringing in new twists and turns, new mysteries, new reveals throughout the book to keep you entertained. I was able to fly through the whole thing on audio today at work and on the commute home. I really liked Charlie. I really felt for her in the position she was in, even as much as I didn't agree with some of her decisions and her actions. But overall, I really enjoyed this one, and I gave it a 4. With that now done, I will be going back to the Midnight Game, which I am now about 75% of the way through. I think I probably will be able to finish that tonight. I'll probably listen as I'm making myself some dinner. And then I'll probably pick something else up tonight and give you an update on where I'm at tomorrow. It is now Friday morning. I keep confusing myself because I took the day off today to give myself a nice long weekend. And so I keep thinking it's Saturday. But it is Friday, and that means I did miss updating you yesterday. I wasn't feeling well yesterday, so I just kind of came home, went to bed, listened to some audiobook, and fell asleep really early. Had a good night's sleep, and I'm definitely feeling better this morning. So I do have a few updates for you. For one thing, I did finish the Midnight Game, and I really enjoyed this. It was a really well done thriller horror combo YA read. I think it had some twists that I did not anticipate from the beginning. I got a little bit of an idea of what was going on a little bit ahead of the reveals, but it was done really well. I thought the mixed media elements were interesting because we do get, as we get further into the book, we get more discussions from this Reddit thread about different games that are similar to this one, where people are tempting fate or tempting demons or playing hide and seek, but let's invite a demon, those types of things. It got maybe a little repetitive at a couple of points because it does take you out of the main narrative, but honestly, I was impressed because it didn't annoy me. It tends to be in audiobooks that sometimes like email threads and chats and things like that will just get on my nerves a little bit because it has to keep repeating the handles and the dates or any of those types of things. And I think here it was kept brief enough that it didn't go over the top for me. It's definitely on the darker side. There is a body count, so there are some dark and gruesome moments, and I like that about it as well. And I think it was the perfect length. It was about a 7.5-hour audiobook, and it didn't have a lot of filler. Things that maybe felt like filler wound up tying into the story, so all of that was good. And in the end, I gave this one 4 stars. So yesterday at work, I needed something to pick up. So I went through Goodreads and looked at my wanna read shelf for anything with over 100,000 ratings. And what I found that was a nice, short, and easily obtained audiobook was Coraline by Neil Gaiman. And I listened to that at work and had a good time with that as well. I really like it when Neil Gaiman narrates his own books, and this one had some extra production value on top of it, so it was a fun story. Sorry if there's an angle change, I had to switch out my battery. But in this story, we're following a little girl named Coraline, and she is exploring the house. She's bored, she needs something to do, and there's a door in the house that just opens up to just a brick wall, where they've divided the original house into multiple units, until one day she opens this door and it's actually a passageway into an alternate version of her life, of her house, of her parents. And everything seems great at first. She's planning to stay. But then she starts realizing there's darker things going on, and she needs to potentially rescue some other children who have been trapped and get back to her real world. So this was a lot of fun. It was a quick, easy audiobook. I really enjoy the narration and the extra production value that they put into it. So this was another 4-star read. And lastly, I needed to start something on the drive home. So I picked up Lenny Marks Gets Away with Murder. This is by Karen Main, and this is a gifted audio arc from Macmillan Audio. We're following the title character Lenny, who lives a very regimented life. She kind of stays in her lane. She doesn't like a lot of human contact. She has minimal amount of people in her life. She teaches, she runs errands, she rides around on her bike, and that's pretty much been her life. But she's been encouraged by her foster mother to make some friends. She's received a mysterious letter from a parole board, which comes to her with a different last name attached, and she's kind of trying to avoid that, avoid opening it and what it might mean. So the reader isn't sure either, so I'm intrigued to find out more about that. I made it almost halfway last night. I just kind of laid in bed and listened to the audiobook, and I'm enjoying it. I like Lenny generally as a character. She's the type of character we've seen before in other books, so she feels a little bit familiar in that sense, but I am very intrigued to find out what this parole letter means about her, what happened to her family, how did she wind up with a foster mother, and what kind of made her who she is. So I am hoping to continue on with this one today probably, but I am about to participate in Becca for Becca in the Books 24-hour readathon. We're going for cozy reads for the most part, vibes books for the most part, so Lenny actually would work pretty well for that, although I will be, I think, switching over to the 4th Pretty Little Liars book to start things off for that. So for the next 24 hours or so, that's kind of the plan. I have a couple of books in mind that I could pick up, since I think Unbelievable will go very quickly, and then finishing Lenny up will go pretty quickly as well, I think. So we'll see how it goes. I'll get you some updates later, and in the meantime, I'm just going to be hanging out here with Kylie and drinking some coffee and reading some books. I'm back with a very sleepy Kylie with a new bow tie because the final prompt has dropped. We are here to welcome everyone to Los Angeles. And the prompt for Los Angeles is to read a book that you think would have the good potential to be adapted, or that should have an adaptation. So for this, I do think I'm going to read the book that I need to read this weekend anyway, which is Evocation by S.T. Gibson. She is gonna fall asleep in my arms. I think she's gonna sleep in my lap for a little bit. I'm gonna treat myself to some AC this afternoon because the sun is hitting hard, and sit down and do some reading. I'm gonna put her down so she can sleep, and I will update you on what else I've been working on in terms of reading. So in terms of my reading for today, I finished Lenny Marks Gets Away with Murder, and I really enjoyed this one. I don't think it blows other similar books necessarily out of the water. It does have some interesting ideas. I think the intrigue of Lenny not really fully remembering her past or purposefully avoiding her past was really well done in here. It really kept me interested to get answers and find out what had gone on with her and her family. There is a lot of heartbreaking stuff in this book, and I would highly recommend checking out trigger warnings if that's a potential concern. I really loved how she was able to gather some support networks around her, how she was able to find that there were people looking out for her even when she didn't necessarily realize it. And overall, this was a 4-star read. I would definitely recommend it if you enjoy really character-focused reads, but also with a little bit of intrigue, a little bit of mystery, I would say, and definitely some found family type of feels to it. And then on top of that, I've also been reading Unbelievable, which is the 4th Pretty Little Liars book, and having a good time with it. These books are interesting. It's interesting to see what they changed for the show, what stayed the same with the show. I've also been binge watching the show, so that's been a fun kind of compare contrast type of thing as well. These definitely have their cringe moments. They definitely have high drama, and there's definitely some things that haven't aged as well, but they're just fun reads. So I'm glad to be joining in with these. So all that said, I'm gonna probably put a focus on reading Evocation. I know there's a buddy read happening of it this weekend. I'm currently 27% of the way in and so far really liking it, but I found myself listening to it on audio, kind of wanting the physical copy in front of me to follow along a little bit better as I was getting used to this world. So I want to go ahead and do that. I do have a dinner party with my family tomorrow night, so I won't be able to participate in the sprints for very long tomorrow. So I'm hoping I can get a good chunk of the book done today, and I will be back with you after I have some more updates. Okay, it is now Saturday evening, and I have finished up Evocation, which means I've reached Los Angeles, and I really liked this one. It was such an easy read. It was a really easy book to just sit down and read through. I picked it up on audio, and obviously I had the physical copy as well. Aside from it just being a pretty Fairy Loot edition, you also get these tarot cards at the top of the different chapters, and it's just a beautifully put together book in general. Plus, you know, Fairy Loot always creates some gorgeous editions, and top and side sprayed edges. I like this one. I think I expected it to be a little bit different. The synopsis for this one goes over things that really don't come into play until late in the book. Really, the focus is more on the relationship. There's a poly relationship in here, and I liked it. I liked the kind of dark academia feel, even though it wasn't necessarily centered on an academic setting. I liked the kind of haunted setting we get in here, the way that our characters work together even though they're at odds much of the time. It just was an easy read. It was very dark for what I would almost consider a cozy read, but whatever it was, it did work for me. S.T. Gibson's writing just really does work well for me. I think their atmosphere is really good, and this is one I'm glad that I got the opportunity to pick up. And with this, even though I do have one day left in the month, I'm going to be really busy. We've got a nice anniversary dinner for my parents, and ultimately tomorrow I've got quite a bit going on as well. I'm going to be watching a TV show with some people. I'm hoping to sleep in because this morning was an early morning, and I'll be out tonight. And tomorrow's just about being cozy and resetting before July. I'm probably going to start a couple of my July TBR books, maybe tomorrow as well, but really, I don't think I'm gonna necessarily finish anything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this vlog here, even though it's a day early. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you've enjoyed the experience of me trying out weekly vlogging for the Amazing Readathon. I had a lot of fun with it, just kind of being able to talk about everything I was reading this month. And next month, I'm probably mostly going back to kind of more themed vlogs, but we'll see. I enjoyed the weekly vlogging process as well. So with that, thank you again for being here. If you could hit that like button below, I really appreciate it, and subscribe if you're interested in more of my content. If you've been participating in the Amazing Readathon, what's been your favorite prompt? What's been your favorite read this month? If you weren't, what's been your favorite read of this month anyway? Go ahead, leave me all your thoughts down below. To wrap up the Amazing Readathon, let's leave an emoji of a runner down below if you don't have anything to comment. But with that, I'm gonna go have a tasty dinner, and I will catch you in the next video.